secluded areas, so you'll find them in the nooks and the crannies of the waterway systems here. You're not going to really find them too often unless you really know what you're looking for, and you're nice and quiet when you're trying to look for them. So they're not the big man-eaters you hear on TV. They're not monstrous beasties that try to eat anything in sight and try to eat people. That is not true. They don't eat people for food or for pleasure. So they're actually pretty nice animals, obviously. You don't want to get too close with them or mess with them out in the wild because, as you can see, they have very powerful jaws. That's how they catch their prey. And you might hear a really cool popping sound when these guys are slamming their jaws shut whenever I'm feeding them. That pure jaw pressure of a North American alligator can be over 2,000 pounds per square inch. So that popping sound that you're hearing is how strong their jaw muscles are. And that 2,000 pounds per square inch of jaw pressure means that they can crush a cinder block to bits in just one bite. So don't get too close to these animals. They will protect themselves if necessary by using those very strong jaws. So even though they're pretty scared of people and don't really like to be around us and usually run away when they see us, that doesn't mean that they're not going to protect themselves if they feel like it's necessary if you get too close to them. Also keep in mind, these animals are very nurturing mothers when they have little baby alligators to take care of, and they protect those little babies with their life. So a mama alligator is definitely nothing you want to mess with. You don't want to get too close to little baby alligators because mama is pretty close for the first 3 years of that alligator's life. They actually make a really cool sound called a yart. That means that they use a little burping sound to attract their mom to them. So if they see a really scary person next to them, they're going to call their mom for safety. So those mama alligators are very vicious when they have little babies to take care of. They will protect their babies with their life. So when they have little ones to take care of, they're very vicious, like I said. You might see some of our alligators in our main pool especially. Those really big guys have a lot of injuries to them. Sometimes it's from fighting over food, not very often, but most of the time, you see most of those injuries from the mama alligators during the nesting season when they know how they have little eggs to take care of. So any alligator that gets too close to her babies, whether it's larger than her or smaller than her, she doesn't care. She will protect those babies with her life. So like I said, they're actually very nurturing mothers, contrary to popular belief. They do take care of their young. The dads really don't do too much with the babies, but the mamas definitely do. Now, what's the difference between this guy, a North American alligator, and a crocodile? There's no crocodiles found here in South Carolina, only North American alligators. But you can tell the difference by looking back at Crocodile Cove, which is right over here. We have all kinds of crocodile species. We have the Siamese, the saltwater, the American crocs that you can find down in Florida. But like I said, they're not found here in South Carolina. You can look at the shape of their snout to tell whether they're an American alligator or American crocodile if you go down to the Everglades. If it's a crocodile species, they have a very distinctive V-shaped snout, so it's kind of pointed at the end, versus an alligator, whether it's one of these alligators you see in front of me, these North American alligators, or the Chinese alligators like we have up front, they have more of a rounded U-shaped snout. So you can actually tell by looking at their snout, the shape, whether it's an alligator or a crocodile species. Also, you can look at their teeth when they have their mouths closed. If it's an alligator species, they have an overbite, so you can only see their top row of teeth for the most part. When they're a crocodile species, you can see both sets of their teeth poking through when they have their mouths closed because they don't have an overbite or an underbite. So you can tell whether it's an alligator or crocodile here in our park even just by looking at their head, not even looking at other features of the animal. So like I said, down in the Everglades, you can find American crocodiles and American alligators, and you might seem really smart to your friends if you go down there because you can actually point out which ones down there are alligators versus which ones are the American crocodile. Now there's also other animals that we have back in Crocodile Cove, not just crocodiles back there. We have a type of crocodilian called a false gharial. They're a type of gharial, very similar to a gharial, but they're not a fake animal like a lot of people think that they are. They're called a false gharial because they're not a true gharial that's found over in India. The false gharial is found most in southwestern Asia, not over in India. So that's the difference between them. Also, they have slight different physical features, but they look very similar in their snout shape. They don't have a V-shaped snout like a crocodile. Also, their snout is not rounded like an alligator. Instead, their snout is very long and skinny. That helps them catch their prey. They eat lots of fish and lots of turtles out in the wild, so it's very effective for them to catch their prey over in Asia. So they're a little bit different than a crocodile or an alligator, but very closely related because they are a type of crocodilian. The last type of crocodilian that we have here at Crocodile Cove is called a caiman. They look very similar to an alligator in their snout shape. They have slightly different eyes, slightly different osteoderm sets on their back. The little spikes you see on a crocodilian's back, slightly different. They look very similar to an alligator, but don't get quite as big as the North American alligators. There's all kinds of different species of them. We have